closed-up Main Street. It is your boarded-up mill. It is your condominiumized factory. It is your cookie-cutter mall. It is not accountable.
John McCutcheon, it's the economy, stupid. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We are broadcasting on over 650 stations around the country and the world, on Pacifica and NPR stations, low-power FM, college and community radio stations, public access TV and PBS TV stations, and both TV satellite networks, on Dish Network Channel 9415, Free Speech TV, 9410 Link TV, and on DirecTV Channel 375. And we're video and audio podcasting at democracynow.org. Our headlines are also available in Spanish for any radio station to take in audio and in transcript form, and we're broadcasting on over 150 radio stations in Spanish. Any radio station can join in. I'm Amy Goodman as we talk about the crisis in the economy today with two experts, Robert Kuttner, veteran economic journalist, author of The Squandering of America, How the Failure of Our Politics Undermines Our Prosperity. He is the co-editor of American Prospect. Robert Weissman is with us in Washington. He is editor of Multinational Monitor magazine and co-director of Essential Action. Robert Kuttner, that image that we have of President Bush flanked by Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, and Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader. Either all of them, Bush, Pelosi, and Reid, the image is going to solve this problem, or all owning this problem. What is your response?
Well, let's bring this back to politics. There's a big risk that the Democrats, trying to be realists, trying to help out in a crisis, enact something that President Bush can sign, and then their fingerprints are on a piece of legislation that is obviously not going to solve the problem. There's a time for bipartisanship, and there's a time for partisan difference. It seems to me the duty of an opposition party is to oppose, and this is one of those moments when the Democrats would be well advised to really clarify the differences between themselves and President Bush. But I want to bring it back to politics in a broader sense. Rob Weissman, I think, very eloquently ticked off all the multiple failures of deregulation. This did not just happen. This was not an accident. This was the agenda of business, particularly Wall Street, going back 30 years. And if you look at the history of this, the Great Depression discredited free market ideology because it was such a colossal practical failure. Nobody in the 1930s could argue with a straight face that free markets worked. And so we had a whole mixed economy, a regulatory structure invented during the New Deal that really lasted 30 or 40 years. By the 70s, for a variety of reasons, big business had recovered a lot of the political power that it had lost in the Depression. And both parties, beginning with Carter, continuing with Clinton, became enablers of the kind of deregulation that finally has come home to roost in this crisis. So now we're learning, painfully, for a second time, a lesson that we never should have had to learn twice, that markets don't regulate themselves. Markets left to their own devices create grotesque inequality, ruin the environment, and ruin the economy. And we're seeing that unfold.
And what could the Democrats do right now as an opposition party? Well,
I think there are three things they ought to be doing. First of all, there's the housing mess. We need something like the Homeowners Loan Corporation of the 1930s, where a government agency, financed by government bonds, would buy these bonds back from Citigroup and Merrill and whoever at a steep discount, maybe 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. They've already been written down to zero because nobody wants to buy them, and turn them back into affordable mortgages, turn them into mortgages that would have a rate below market instead of the kind of predatory rate that subprime mortgages had. And you could then repopulate these houses. People on the brink of foreclosure would be able to keep their houses. Other people could become homeowners. So you need a much bolder approach to the housing crisis. Secondly, I don't even think stimulus is a good word. You need a recovery program. And a recovery program means not just a quick shot in the arm. It means reversing all of the things that make it harder to be middle class in this country. It means everything from a massive program of infrastructure repair to energy independence to good jobs in the service sector, reversing the whole 30-year trajectory of ordinary people finding that their personal economic situation is insecure, they can't keep up with the cost of living, And a stimulus implies a kind of a quick jolt to get us out of a temporary problem. This is not a temporary problem. This is a long-term problem. It's going to require long-term solutions. And that doesn't even get at some of the harder stuff, like the dependency on foreign borrowing that was caused by chronic trade deficits that, in turn, were the result of bad trade policies.
We're going to turn to an excerpt of the Democratic debate now that took place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Senators Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Edwards sparred over the economy. This was the first question put on the issue of the economy, put by CNN moderator Joe Johns.
Senator Clinton, good evening. The number one issue for Americans of both parties is the economy, and today the news is simply not good. Markets around the world are in a tailspin because of fears of a U.S. recession. So far this year, the Dow has lost nearly 9%. How much money would your stimulus plan put in the pockets of the average South Carolinian?
Well, Joe, I'm glad you started with the economy because that is the number one issue. What's been happening in the markets, what's been happening with the home mortgage crisis, $100 a barrel oil, so many of the issues that are really at the kitchen tables of Americans today and what they're talking to me about. We have to stimulate the economy. I began calling for some kind of economic action plan back at the beginning of December. I have a package of $110 billion. 70 of that would go toward dealing with the mortgage crisis, which unfortunately I don't think that President Bush has really taken seriously enough. I would have a moratorium on home foreclosures for 90 days to try to help families work it out so that they don't lose their homes. We're in danger of seeing millions of Americans become basically, homeless and losing the American dream. I want to have an interest rate freeze for 5 years because these adjustable rate mortgages, if they keep going up, the problem will just get compounded, and we need more transparency in the market. Then I think we need to give people about $650 if they qualify, which will be millions of people, to help pay their energy bills this winter.
It is absolutely critical right now to give a stimulus to the economy. And Senator Clinton mentioned tax rebates. That wasn't the original focus of her plan. I think recently she has caught up with what I had originally said, which is we've got to get taxes into the tax cuts into the pockets of hardworking Americans right away. And it is important for us to make sure that they are not just going to the wealthy. They should be going to folks who are making $75,000 a year or less, and they should be going to folks who only pay payroll tax but typically are not paying income tax. If we do that, then not only can we stimulate the economy, those are the folks who are most likely to spend money right away.
Do you agree with her $650 is a good number for a tax rebate?
Well, I think that we are going to have to get some immediate money. What I do is I say, for a typical family, $500 for a tax rebate per family, but also for senior citizens, get a supplement to their Social Security check, because they get that every month. We know exactly how to do it. And that would provide seniors all across the country right away some money to help pay for their heating bills and other expenses that they've got right now.
Now, one difference between what I proposed and what my two colleagues have proposed is I have done something that not only stimulates the economy, but creates long-term benefits. Investment in green infrastructure, which creates jobs. Instead of just getting money out in the short term, this will actually create jobs over the long term, create green infrastructure. Yes, we need to do something about the mortgage crisis. I want to mention one last thing. There is one other issue that was mentioned in passing by the two of them, which is the issue of jobs. And there is a difference between myself and my colleagues on this issue of jobs, because they both supported the Peru trade deal. My view is the Peru trade deal was similar to NAFTA, and this is crucial to the state of South Carolina. And it's crucial to the state of South Carolina and jobs in South Carolina. South Carolina has been devastated by NAFTA and trade deals like
But I just want to be precise. What you're proposing are really long-term objectives. In terms of a short-term stimulus package, you disagree with them on an immediate tax rebate.
No. No, what I'm saying is, if we do what we should do to green the economy, if we change our unemployment insurance laws, modernize them to make them available to more people, to more Americans, if we in fact get help to the states, which gets money straight into the economy, and we deal with the mortgage crisis in a serious way with a home rescue fund to provide transitional financing for those people who are about to lose their homes, all those things will stimulate the economy.
Former Senator Edwards, Senator Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton debating in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Rob Weissman, your assessment. Did they satisfactorily come up with proposals that will resolve this crisis?
Well, everything they say isn't bad, but of course the answer is no. And also, it's interesting to hear the questioner, Wolf Blitzer, impose the conventional wisdom on presidential candidates.